Today we are going to learn about the medieval age. In this chapter, we will understand how European society, economy, education, literature, architecture and political systems developed during this period. The medieval age was not only a period of wars and instability. During the later Middle Ages, many important changes took place. Trade increased, cities developed, education expanded, universities were established, and literature and architecture flourished. During the later Middle Ages, the position of nobles changed. They became involved not only in warfare but also in political and cultural activities. The ideals of knighthood and proper behavior, called etiquette, developed. Another major change was in trade. Earlier, people depended largely on barter. Later, coins and currency became more common. This made buying and selling easier and helped trade and commerce grow. As trade increased, cities became important centers of economic activity. Pisa, Venice and Genoa became flourishing trade centers. Cities such as Paris, London and Cologne also grew in population. A new business class developed. Business people formed trade guilds. A guild was an association of people involved in the same trade or occupation. Guilds protected their interests and made rules for business transactions. In the beginning, education was mainly controlled by the church. Subjects such as law, Latin, grammar and Roman classics were taught. Later, practical-oriented schools developed for nobles and rich merchants. Literacy increased greatly. According to the textbook, literacy increased from about 1% of the population of Western Europe in 1050 CE to about 40% by 1340 CE. Education also began to develop in vernacular languages. Vernacular means the language commonly spoken by people in a particular region. One of the most important developments of the medieval period was the emergence of universities. Important universities were established in Italy, France, England and Spain. Oxford and Cambridge were important universities in England. Bologna, Salerno and Naples were in Italy. Paris and Montpellier were in France, while Salamanca was in Spain. The establishment of universities encouraged the development of scholasticism, which involved learning through reasoning, discussion and debate. In the early Middle Ages, intellectual life was limited because of political instability, insecurity and poor living conditions. During the higher Middle Ages, agricultural production increased. Towns and cities developed and administration improved. Governments needed educated people for tax collection, record keeping, law and administration. Therefore, the demand for education increased. European intellectual development was also influenced by Greek, Latin and Islamic knowledge. The intellectual revival produced several important thinkers. The four names mentioned in our textbook are Robert Grosseteste, Roger Bacon, Peter Abelard and St. Thomas Aquinas. Students, remember their names using the simple shortcut GBA. Literature developed greatly during this period. Vernacular languages such as French, German, Spanish and Italian became popular. Romances and fabliaux were important literary forms. Fabliaux were medieval humorous verse tales, especially popular in 12th and 13th century France. Dante Alighieri wrote the Divine Comedy, which describes a journey through hell, purgatory and paradise. Geoffrey Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales and is called the father of English literature. Medieval architecture mainly developed in two important styles, Romanesque and Gothic. Romanesque buildings had rounded arches, small windows, massive stone walls and horizontal lines. Worms Cathedral is an example. Gothic architecture had pointed arches, ribbed vaulting and buttresses. Reims Cathedral and La Sainte-Chapelle in Paris are examples. The easiest way to remember is, Romanesque means round, while Gothic means pointed. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Germanic tribes invaded many parts of Europe. This resulted in anarchy and instability. People needed protection and security. This contributed to the rise of feudalism. Feudalism was a political and social system based on land, loyalty and protection. The king was at the top. Below the king were nobles or lords, followed by knights and vassals. Peasants and serfs formed the lower base of the system. Finally, we should remember that the church was also a powerful institution during the medieval age. Both the church and monarchs claimed divine right and wanted power and control. This resulted in a struggle between the church and kings. According to our textbook, ultimately the kings gained the upper hand in subjugating the church. Now let's quickly revise the important points before we finish. Currency, revival of trade. Guilds, protection of business interests. Oxford and Cambridge, England. Dante, Divine Comedy. Chaucer, Canterbury Tales. Romanesque, rounded arch. Gothic, pointed arch. Feudalism, king at the top. Church plus king, struggle for power.